Whether you are on an adventure or at the downtown cafe, your answers are no more than a sniff away. Dog Training 360's purpose is simple: to teach you why dogs do what they do, as well as the action steps you need to take to have better communication, connection, consistency, and conceivability with your dog. We've been really concentrating on the development of puppyhood and understanding, really how dogs are learning and they're imprinting stuff and what they go through puppyhood. And really this time is so important, and that's where kind of what they develop into happens, and things that they'll be afraid of or not afraid of, and where their life is. And I think this is where a lot of people, when they are in a rescue situation, that they adopt a dog from a shelter or rescue or whatnot, and they say, oh, I think this dog has been abused or beat, and it's pretty rare that truly is the case, unless they've, even dogs that come out of hoarding situations are typically not abused or beat as much as it's just more of a survival neglect type situation. And that definitely can be, impactful for these dogs. But, the beating type thing, just because a hand is raised or because something moves and they're scared to death of it, or they've never seen stairs or stuff like that they're certain that they're abused, really it just isn't the case, because it unless a rescue or an organization has taken a dog out of a very abusive situation, the majority of the time it's not people beating or being physical with the dogs as much as it's a neglect situation. And that for sure plays an impact on the dog, but, abuse and hitting and beating and stuff like that it's not as common as the neglect cases really are. And so, but what does impact is what happens during this, the first 2 years of a dog's life. And that sets the kind of the tone of who the dog is and what really their, the outcome is going to be as far as adulthood. And, I don't know, Shannon, from having Louie as, from the get-go, do you see things that either, that you missed in his development stuff as an adult, or things that you really feel like, oh yeah, I see this because this is what we worked through as in, that first 2 years of his life?
I, having worked at the vet and, like in training situations
Mm-hmm.
before, I knew going into having a dog that there are things that our dogs that are afraid of that they have to deal with their whole life.
Yeah.
Like thunderstorms and fireworks is a
Mm-hmm.
huge one that has a
Mm-hmm.
huge impact on people all the time.
Yeah.
Because we have thunderstorms
Yeah.
in our life,
Yeah.
regularly. It's not something we can avoid. And so for me personally, I really wanted to help my dogs not be afraid of those, because I knew the impact that it can have on them in the future. And so as a puppy, we had like a thunderstorm like sounds and a loud noises, sounds tape that we just played all the time.
Yeah.
So that it would just be normal. And I notice that a lot now that I have other dogs in my house, that when we have thunderstorms and loud noises and stuff, Louie is just like sleeping out.
Yeah.
He doesn't notice it at all, and it worries the other dogs.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to where they're having really strong flight responses or destructive behaviors, anxiety kind of things.
Yeah.
But I notice that they notice there's thunder,
Right.
and he really doesn't care at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that was one
Yeah,
thing that
for
I
sure.
did really good. Even like in movies, you can be watching a movie and have noises in a movie,
Yeah.
and that'll scare the dog, and
Yep.
he'll sleep through anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one thing that I made a conscious effort to try and help him.
Yeah.
Because I'd had so many bad experiences with other dogs.
Right. And it's not fun in that situation with the people if their dogs are terrified of the lightning or thunder and the fireworks and stuff like that. So that's cool. So we're kind of wrapping up, next week will be our maturity period, but this week is really our second fear time. And this is between 6 and 14 months, and that's a long stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And they will go through different cycles of this fear time. And sometimes they last a couple of days, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a couple of months, sometimes it's random things. But all of these stages overlap through this. And the reason why this one is so, I guess, impactful, if you will, is our 6-month period is, we just came out of the time before that of cutting the apron strings. And, so it's such an awkward, weird stage where they're starting to discover themselves a little bit more. And so this fear stage is different than others because they, something startles them, and others, something startles them, they have a reaction. This happens, that happens. And so in this stage, the dogs are kind of anticipating the fear and then how they're going to respond to it, whether it's flight or defense or aggression. It's a anticipation of fear more than fear itself. And so it's important to understand that this is not the time to coddle in this fear stage, because then we're condoning behavior and we're condoning aggression possibly, or we're condoning the flight mode, if you will, when certain things are that they've anticipated being fearful. So it's definitely, we've gone through quite a few different fear things and how to fix that. But this is not the time to coddle. This is the time to build confidence and kind of get them through it, if you will. As something that, with Caroline at home, with her, she's kind of, we're kind of in that weird stage, if you will. But she's just kind of hunkering down sometimes, like, oh, I don't know. And you have to just, come on, let's go. Stop doing that. We're not going to do that. And so it's not, it's just really not a time to be nurturing, I guess, if you will, as much as it's now you're going to learn how to stand on your own 4 feet and we're going to get through this together type of situation. With Dutch and even Ripley, you've gone through some of this with them. And what are some of the things that you help them as far as building confidence with them?
Dutch is definitely a fear anticipator. And if you watch her, you can notice, like, when she starts thinking, oh no, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
So with her, I just always try to break the cycle of what's going on. I even do that with Louie. If I can see that something's going to happen, that they're anticipating something's coming, if you just break it by doing something else. So that's what I do with Dutch. I just say, hey, come on. And then she's like, oh, yes, I'm coming with you. That's fine, And then that helps her, I don't know, all kinds of things can be scary. Something scary can be on the ground,
right?
And then we can run past the thing on the ground and it's fine. And if we just don't make a big deal out of it, then we don't even notice that's there anymore.
Right.
Sometimes she'll get scared by fast movements. And so we'll just turn that into a game, where we're just moving fast all over and then it's really fun. And that's not scary anymore. Sometimes she'll run away from objects in the house. And we'll make her come up to the objects and touch them and then play with those. And then that's a game. So anything that is like, no, like, you can't avoid this. You're going to have to touch it now, and not let her, because then that could turn into, I'm always afraid of that.
Right.
I can never go in this room, or think like my guitar is really scary to her, which is ridiculous.
It's funny.
And so, like, we work a lot with that. Like, once she realized the guitar is right by the door of the bedroom. And when she realized that it was there by the door, she would not come in the bedroom.
Funny.
So then we had to work on running past the guitar, touching it and things like that. So, and that's just really new. So things pop up that are new, that she's definitely anticipates those things. Ripley, I don't notice as much. when I first got her, she was very like wanted to stick with me because she didn't, I feel like she didn't know what the rules were or what's going on.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a scary place? Is it going to be a cool place I like? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I noticed that right when I got her, she was just like glued to me.
Yeah.
You got to stick to me to be safe. And we just did, whatever, all kinds of things. And she's very much more bold now. She's not really afraid of anything and doesn't anticipate those things like Dutch does.
Yeah.
But that was just right when I got her. They don't know. I mean, that's just with anyone that gets a new dog, from a rescue situation. They've been in a situation and then they went to a rescue, and that could be like in the actual Humane Society or at a foster parent.
Right.
And then they go from there to you. And so it's lots of different new situations that they have no idea what's going on right in a row.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think, one area with Patsy that I'm at with her is, we had a bunch of people over this weekend, in and out constantly. And at first it was just like the sky's falling and where do I go? And then she pretty much kind of got used to everybody being around, but not, she still wouldn't come up. She wasn't going to be friendly about it. But, then she was still in a pretty heightened state of just general people in the house at, from sun up to sundown, that, Chris poked his head out the back door last night, and they were finally just kind of out, and it scared her that it was like, rah, 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 rah. I was like, no, hey, it's me. And then even this afternoon, she's just kind of in her own zone and place. And Chris came out of the studio and she just started barking. And, it's just all of a sudden she was just like, okay, it's really quiet and I can be me. And then, wow, where did this person come from? And who else is going to come? And so for her, we're heading into, we're going to just be unleashed and attached. And it's time to start going places and getting out and about again. Cause we're just, it was just like, whoa, way too overstimulating for her this weekend. And so it can last quite a long time in and out of this cycle of fear. And also, again, we've talked about, just because it's not a puppy thing, that they're going to go through it because they've been in survival mode and they're going to go through something very similar to this. And so it's a time that everything's changing for them hormonally. You'll see them get a bit more dramatic or pouty or even lethargic as their hormones are changing and things trying to level out. And this is a time that they also become a bit more of a bully. This is a time, before they kind of completely hit maturity, that they're discovering that there's boys and girls. The boys get more pushy and the girls get more bitchy in this stage. And this is a time that dog fights will happen a lot. And you'll hear people like, they've been nice up until now. And then all of a sudden they're starting to fight. And even with Patsy and Caroline, Patsy's been a bit more pushy with Caroline and just a bit more ornery with her at times, or even their play is a bit more rough. And so it's normal. It's a normal thing that happens. I don't know, as far as your Pat, Shannon's interaction with each other, if you notice some of that hormonal stuff as much. And I think even if they're fixed, they still go through to some extent through it.
I haven't noticed, probably just because Louis is always pushy.
Yeah.
So because he's a bulldog.
Yeah.
And so I always am working with him on his pushiness. With people and with other dogs and in other situations. And so since he's so pushy, I don't think I notice it in the other dogs.
The girls,
But they do have days just where sometimes they really want to play with each other, or one dog will really want to play with the other ones, and the other ones aren't interested in it at all. So they do have But I think that's just a normal, like, day-to-day interaction.
For sure.
For
Yeah.
that some days you want to play and some days
Yeah.
you don't. And then
Yeah.
some days there's a big, huge all pile of dogs in here.
Right.
All playing, and sometimes they just, like, want to be off on their own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think I don't notice
As much.
I'm always watching.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's in the forefront of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely a time to really connect with your dog and do, finessing your training, experiencing different training techniques or different training styles or a different activity with your dog. I think that sometimes we get into training, and then they're in this stage and they get a bit more pushy. They're a bit more opinionated. Being around a bunch of other dogs is not always great. And I think it's an important time to kind of venture out to, you and your dog, and this is what we're going to do type of thing. So that they're not feeling so pressured into that establishing dominance, and trying to figure themselves out, as much as it's just like, hey, yeah, we can do this together and you can be dominant. That's fine. But let's do something different. And I think this is a great time for training wise to do something different with your dog. Find what the job is at this time, because it's a great time because they're in the right mental state, to do that, because they're discovering themselves. And so I think it's a great time for that to happen.
And it helps with the fear part too.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going out and experience all kind of different things during this phase, then it's not as scary to go out,
Yep.
And then they learn that there's all of these kind of situations in which we're fine.
Yeah.
And you really don't have to do that much.
Right.
Just go on a little walk to the park, or go through on the car to the bank drive-through and get a cookie or whatever.
Yep.
Just normal kind of things.
Right.
Because some dogs will get that I'm only safe at home and I only will poop in my own yard.
Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just going out and doing all kinds of stuff,
yep,
it's not weird.
Yeah.
It takes away that weirdness that can come if you just stay at home.
Right. Right.
Because then everything at home is safe, but then what about the world?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And we're, as we get ready to head out of town, me with the dogs, I'm going to, Patsy's going to be tootling along with me a lot more this week because she's in that fear stage and I haven't really gotten her out lately. And so it's just like, because every time we go on a road trip, she starts pooping in her crate. So I'm hoping that if I get her out this week a little bit more, that I don't have to deal with that on our road trips. Mm-hmm. So it's just, in general, it's just a kind of a funky stage, and nothing is out of the ordinary really during this stage. Even though all of a sudden something started happening, this is normal. And that's where I think people get kind of caught up, is like they've never done that before. This is the time that they're going to do it. Yeah. The other times it's not when they would do it. So, and this is a stage that happens in all animals in their life cycle of discovering that they can reproduce, discovering that they need to find who they are and where they fit, and they need to anticipate the fear because that's how we survive. And the reaction is going to be based on what the fear that they perceive in their head is going to do. And so it's definitely just a time to understand that new things are going to happen, and behaviorally it's fine. Mm-hmm. It's normal. It's just don't coddle it, build it.